This is a true incident that has happened to us. We used to work for a company in Hyderabad and we used to work mostly during the evening to night shifts and be back home around midnight in between 1 to 3 p.m. in a cab. This incident took place in 2011. My colleague and I were pretty friendly and close to each other, and his house was out of the city in a remote area, and we had to travel around 7 to 8 kilometers from the main road, and it was village which was just developing into a city, but it still had a lot of paddy fields all around. The route was really scary when it became dark, as the road itself was narrow and you would see huge trees and paddy fields along the road. So the driver who used to drive us home, mostly it used to be the same driver every day, but he was really scared to drive on that route, so he would drop my colleague/friend first and then drop me. However, my friend was saying that for the past few days he was sensing something wrong while traveling to his home. He used to travel to his home after dark on his bike most of the times, as he was not a believer in ghosts and spirits. But for some reason, for the past few days before this incident happened, he was feeling uneasy about riding the bike or even passing on that route after dark. One day he had to come late to office, and he had to come to office on his bike and drive back to his home on his bike at night. While he was riding back to home at late in the night around 3 in the morning, he said while he turned from the main road onto the sub-road towards his home after about 1 kilometer, he saw that somebody died in a house and there were women crying loudly, but he could not see any people around. The house was also an old isolated house. It scared the shit out of him, and he was riding the bike fast to reach home bit sooner, and bang, he saw a woman in the middle of the road. He said that she was crossing the road from paddy fields on the right to left, and she stopped in the middle of the road and looked at him and walked away. The very next day when he told this, we, driver and I myself, both got scared. We dropped off my colleague and we headed to my home. It was too dark, we couldn't see anything on the road even if it was Hulk, until we reached like 1 to 2 feet even with the Tata Indica lights. I and the driver were both talking to each other about that incident, and bang, the driver had applied sudden brakes a few feet from this scary thing. It was women standing in the middle of the road. She was groped in a torn white sari, shabby big hair. She was really scary and was standing in the middle of the road holding her old clothes in one hand and curling her hair with other hand, and in the dark and smiling. When we stopped the car, she came running towards us. The driver and I shouted aloud, and the driver reversed the car and she started running towards the car. Then the driver honked the car and she ran into the fields. All this happened in a few seconds. We drove off from there really fast, and we couldn't confirm till date if that mad woman was really a human or a ghost just wandering like that, as she is nowhere to be seen during the morning and even after dark when there are people roaming around. But it's only after 9 or something, and when there is no one on the roads, this woman comes out of nowhere and then she disappears into thin air. Also, some locals say that they have been living in that village for more than 30 years, but they never saw her any time, and there are some people who saw her during the night at that specific time. Chapter 2, Whispers in the Dark. The next evening, as the crimson hues of the sunset gave way to the inky blackness of the night, we found ourselves once again embarked on our nightly journey. The cab, with its familiar hum, navigated the narrow, winding roads flanked by paddy fields. Unease hung in the air, a palpable tension that seemed to seep through the very fabric of the night. My colleague, still haunted by the memory of that eerie night, opted to narrate the incident in detail. His words, laden with a mix of fear and disbelief, painted a vivid picture of the mournful cries and the desolate house he had encountered. The driver and I exchanged glances, acknowledging an unspoken understanding that something peculiar lurked in the shadows of our nightly commute. As we approached my colleague's drop-off point, the atmosphere inside the cab grew tense. He hesitated before stepping out, as if expecting the darkness to manifest the ghostly apparitions he had witnessed before. The driver, a silent witness to our growing trepidation, shared a knowing look with me, emphasizing the gravity of the situation. The village, once serene during daylight, transformed into an eerie landscape after sunset. The looming trees cast long, distorted shadows, and the vast paddy fields whispered secrets that only the night seemed privy to. It was on one such desolate stretch that the routine drive became a descent into the unknown. As we continued along the dimly lit road, our conversation shifted to the strange occurrences plaguing my colleague's nightly rides. Each passing shadow, each rustle in the fields, fueled our growing apprehension. The driver, usually stoic and composed, revealed a newfound fear that mirrored our own. Suddenly, the cab jerked to a halt, the screech of tires against asphalt piercing the silence. In the faint glow of the vehicle's headlights, an ethereal figure emerged, a woman draped in a torn white sari, her unkempt hair casting an otherworldly silhouette against the darkness. Time seemed to freeze as the woman stood in the middle of the road, a spectral presence that defied explanation. Her gaze fixed upon us, a twisted smile playing on her lips. The driver and I, gripped by terror, found our voices in unison, releasing a guttural scream that shattered the stillness of the night. The driver, with adrenaline-fueled reflexes, slammed the brakes and reversed the cab with urgency. The woman, unfazed by our desperate attempts to escape, began to move towards us. Panic set in as the driver honked the horn, the shrill sound echoing through the night. As the cab retreated, the ghostly figure retreated into the shadows, disappearing into the fields like a wisp of smoke. We sped away from that haunting encounter, leaving behind a trail of questions and a lingering fear that would cast a dark shadow over our subsequent journeys through the night-ridden village. Little did we know, this encounter marked the beginning of a chilling tale that would intertwine our lives with the spectral secrets hidden in the heart of the mysterious village. Chapter 3: The Haunting Mystery Unraveled. In the aftermath of our heart-pounding encounter, the once familiar routine of our nightly journeys became an odyssey through the unknown. The spectral woman, draped in a torn white sari, lingered in our collective consciousness like a ghostly specter refusing to fade away. As days turned into nights, the three of us, my colleague, the driver, and I, found ourselves caught in a whirlwind of fear and curiosity. We were driven by an insatiable desire to unravel the mystery that clung to the desolate roads and shadowy fields of the village. What was the origin of the haunting figure that had materialized before us? Local whispers and rumors added another layer to the enigma. Some villagers claimed to have lived in the area for decades without ever witnessing the apparition, dismissing our encounter as a figment of overactive imaginations. Others, however, spoke in hushed tones about a woman who had met a tragic end many years ago, a woman whose spirit supposedly wandered the village in search of something unknown. Haunted by a relentless curiosity, we began to delve deeper into the village's history, seeking answers that remained elusive. The journey led us to ancient tales passed down through generations, each laden with its own version of the ghostly woman's tragic tale. Some spoke of a forbidden love, while others whispered of a life cut short by unspeakable circumstances. As we navigated through the labyrinth of narratives, one particular account caught our attention. An old villager, weathered by time and adorned with wrinkles that told tales of the years gone by, shared a story that sent shivers down our spines. According to him, the woman we encountered was said to appear only after dark, wandering the same stretch of road where tragedy had befallen her. The narrative painted a vivid picture of a woman wronged, seeking solace in the afterlife. The old man's words, delivered with a somber resonance, left us grappling with the chilling possibility that we had come face to face with a spirit shackled to the earthly realm. Armed with this newfound knowledge, the driver, my colleague, and I faced a dilemma. Should we confront the ghostly figure once more, armed with empathy and understanding, or should we succumb to the persistent fear that gripped our hearts every time the night descended upon the village? Little did we know that our decision would lead us deeper into the heart of the haunting mystery, where the lines between the living and the dead blurred, and the spectral secrets of the village awaited their revelation. Chapter 4: Midnight Confrontations. As the days turned into nights, our determination to unravel the mystery intensified. The spectral woman's presence lingered in our thoughts, a haunting enigma that beckoned us into the heart of the village's secrets. With a newfound resolve, we decided to confront the apparition head-on, armed not with fear but with a desire to understand the anguish that bound her to the earthly realm. One fateful night, guided by an eerie silence that enveloped the village, we embarked on a journey filled with trepidation. The cab's tires crunched against the gravel road as we ventured into the heart of the haunted stretch. The moon, shrouded by wisps of ominous clouds, cast an ethereal glow on the paddy fields that whispered tales of forgotten sorrows. As we approached the spot where we had encountered the ghostly figure, an unsettling stillness descended upon the surroundings. The air felt charged with an otherworldly energy, and the driver's knuckles whitened against the steering wheel. My colleague, though visibly anxious, clenched his jaw in determination. The village, once hidden in the cloak of darkness, seemed to come alive with an eerie presence. Shadows danced on the periphery of our vision, and the night held its breath as if anticipating the spectral reunion that loomed ahead. The cab's headlights cut through the inky blackness, revealing the desolate road and the fields that concealed secrets of the past. And then, as if on cue, she appeared. The woman, draped in a torn white sari, materialized from the darkness. Her shabby hair framed a face frozen in a perpetual expression of sorrow. Yet, there was an undeniable grace to her movements as she glided towards us. The driver, my colleague, and I sat in stunned silence, our breaths caught in the anticipation of the supernatural encounter. This time, however, there was no fear. Instead, a profound sadness gripped our hearts as we witnessed the spectral woman approach the cab. She stood before us, her eyes reflecting a pain that transcended the boundaries of life and death. In that moment, the distinction between the living and the dead blurred, and a silent communication unfolded between us and the ghostly figure. As if acknowledging our presence, she raised a hand, fingers outstretched, and pointed towards the direction of the distant village. It was a silent plea, a gesture that spoke volumes without uttering a single word. We understood, she sought closure, a resolution to the tragedy that had bound her spirit to the village. The cab, guided by an unspoken agreement, started moving in the direction she indicated. The fields whispered their secrets, and the night bore witness to a journey that transcended the realms of the mundane. Our encounter with the spectral woman marked not an end but a beginning of a quest to unravel the village's untold stories and grant peace to a tormented soul. As the cab traversed the haunted stretch, we braced ourselves for the revelations that awaited us in the heart of the village, where the past and present converged in a dance of shadows and whispers. The spectral secrets, hidden for years, were about to be unveiled as the midnight confrontation led us into the heart of the haunting mystery. Chapter 5: Confronting the Supernatural. The decision weighed heavily on our minds as we grappled with the unsettling knowledge of the village's spectral inhabitant. The woman in the torn white sari had become more than a mere apparition. She was a mystery that beckoned us to uncover the truth hidden within the folds of her ethereal existence. A few nights later, armed with a mixture of trepidation and determination, we embarked on another journey through the darkened village. The cab's headlights cut through the night, revealing the familiar, ominous landscape that had become the backdrop of our haunting encounters. As we approached the notorious stretch of road, an air of anticipation hung in the cab. The driver, usually stoic, had a look of grim determination. My colleague, though visibly nervous, seemed resolute in facing the ghostly woman once again. I, caught between fear and curiosity, found solace in the unity that bound our collective courage. The village, bathed in the eerie glow of moonlight, felt like a different realm altogether. The paddy fields, now shimmering silver under the night sky, whispered secrets carried by the wind. The narrow road, surrounded by looming trees, seemed to lead us into the heart of the supernatural. As we turned the familiar corner where the spectral woman had appeared before, a tense silence settled within the cab. The only sounds were the rustling leaves and the faint hum of the cab's engine. Time seemed to slow as we approached the spot, half expecting the ghostly figure to materialize once again. Suddenly, there she was, the woman in the torn white sari. This time, instead of fleeing in fear, we chose to confront the unknown. The driver slowed the cab to a crawl, and my colleague rolled down the window, attempting to communicate with the apparition. We spoke softly, offering words of empathy and understanding. To our surprise, the spectral woman turned towards us, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sadness and longing. In that moment, the boundary between the living and the dead blurred, and the supernatural became tangible. She gestured towards the old, dilapidated house nearby, as if beckoning us to follow. Driven by a shared curiosity, we stepped out of the cab and approached the haunted house. The air inside felt heavy with a sorrowful energy, and as we explored the abandoned rooms, fragments of the woman's tragic tale unfolded before us. Forgotten letters, faded photographs, and remnants of a life left behind spoke of a love lost and a soul unwilling to move on. In that haunting encounter, we discovered the woman's name, Mira. Her story, a tapestry woven with heartbreak and loss, transcended the boundaries of time. As we delved deeper into the mystery, we realized that Mira's spirit sought closure, a release from the shackles that bound her to the earthly realm. Our journey, initially fueled by fear, had transformed into a quest for understanding and compassion. With newfound purpose, we vowed to help Mira find the peace that had eluded her for decades. Little did we know that our commitment to the supernatural would lead us to unveil deeper layers of the village's spectral secrets, as we navigated through the realms of the living and the dead. Chapter 6: Shadows of Uncertainty. In the wake of our chilling encounter and the unsettling revelations from the old villager, an air of trepidation enveloped our nightly travels. The spectral woman, with her torn white sari and haunted gaze, continued to haunt our thoughts, leaving us with a multitude of unanswered questions. As the days unfolded, we found ourselves drawn back to the village's desolate roads, compelled by a mixture of fear and an inexplicable desire to understand the ghostly presence. Late-night discussions with the driver and my colleague revolved around theories and speculations, each attempting to unravel the mystery that clung to the village like an unseen mist. Our efforts to comprehend the ghostly figure's origin and purpose led us to explore the outskirts of the village during daylight hours. We sought insights from locals who had called the village home for generations. Some were dismissive, attributing our encounter to overactive imaginations, while others shared cryptic tales that only deepened the enigma. One elderly woman, her eyes reflecting the wisdom of years, spoke of a long-forgotten ritual that took place under the moonlit skies. According to her, the spectral woman was believed to be a guardian spirit, a silent watcher over the village's secrets. The ritual, obscured by time and fading memories, held the key to understanding the ghostly apparition's nocturnal appearances. Determined to uncover the truth, we delved into the village's archives, scouring ancient texts and faded documents for any mention of the forgotten ritual. Our pursuit of knowledge took us to the heart of the village's history, where whispers of forbidden love, tragic endings, and unresolved mysteries echoed through the ages. As we pieced together the fragments of the past, a chilling realization gripped us: the spectral woman was not a malevolent force but a manifestation of a sorrowful tale left unresolved. The tragedy that had befallen her in life seemed to echo in her spectral wanderings, a testament to the unfinished business that bound her to the village's shadowy lanes. The journey into the heart of the ghostly mystery became a quest for closure, both for the woman in the torn white sari and for our own restless souls. The once feared apparition transformed into a figure deserving empathy and understanding, urging us to confront the unresolved past that lingered like a ghostly specter over the village. In the lingering darkness of the night, as the paddy fields whispered secrets and the village embraced the stillness, we stood at the precipice of revelation. The answers to the unanswered questions beckoned, promising a resolution that would either free the spectral woman from her eternal wandering or plunge us deeper into the haunting mysteries that lurked in the shadows of uncertainty. Chapter 7: Embracing the Night's Secrets. In the final chapter of our haunting tale, the village's secrets unraveled as we ventured further into the shadows of uncertainty. The conclusion was both a culmination of our fears and a revelation that transcended the boundaries between the living and the spectral. As we continued our quest for understanding, the spectral woman's nocturnal appearances took on a new dimension. Armed with empathy and armed with the knowledge of the forgotten ritual, we decided to confront the ghostly figure once more. Our journey, however, was met with challenges as the village resisted the unveiling of its deepest mysteries. The night we chose for our confrontation was bathed in an otherworldly glow, the moon casting an ethereal light on the desolate roads. The paddy fields, once whispering secrets, now stood silent as if holding their collective breath, anticipating the resolution that loomed on the horizon. As we neared the spot where we had first encountered the spectral woman, the air thickened with a palpable tension. The torn white sari emerged from the darkness, her gaze meeting ours with a mixture of longing and sorrow. This time, instead of fleeing, we stood our ground, ready to witness the resolution of her restless spirit. In a haunting silence, the forgotten ritual unfolded before our eyes. The villagers, guided by an ancient understanding passed down through generations, participated in a ceremony that bridged the gap between the living and the dead. Incantations whispered in the night air, shadows danced in the moonlight, and the spectral woman, for the first time, seemed to find solace. The conclusion of our journey brought a bittersweet sense of closure. The spectral woman, once a harbinger of fear, embraced the ritual's embrace and faded into the moonlit night. As the village reclaimed its stillness, we stood as witnesses to a resolution that transcended the boundaries of the mortal realm. The unanswered questions that once lingered like a ghostly presence were now replaced with a sense of understanding and acceptance. The village, with its ancient tales and spectral secrets, had revealed its mysteries to those willing to listen. Our nightly journeys, once haunted by fear, became a testament to the transformative power of confronting the unknown with open hearts and minds. As the cab navigated the now familiar roads, we carried with us the echoes of the spectral woman's farewell. The village, forever changed by our shared journey, embraced the night's secrets, and we, in turn, emerged from the shadows with a newfound appreciation for the thin veil that separates the living from the dead. The haunting tale that began with fear concluded with a sense of closure, leaving us forever bound to the village's spectral whispers and the mysteries that only the night could reveal.